Hey, what up, guys? What up? What up? Hopefully, y'all doing good today on this Friday. Just getting a few things set up, running a few minutes behind, but should get started in the next minute or two. So, just kind of bear with me. But hopefully, y'all doing good, man, on this Friday. Again, another series of Drinking with Lou. I'm going to be tasting some new tequila today. And, of course, we're going to talk tech. And I actually had a viewer that joined the live stream on Tuesday. So we actually got something kind of in advance that we're going to be working on. Depending on the time, if we have additional time, then of course we'll work on some other issues or try to solve some other problems. But I think this one's probably going to take the majority of the live stream time. Um, there's a lot of things that we're going to try to do here, but I think we should be able to knock something out. So let's we'll play around with the time. But again, hopefully y'all doing good, man, and again, enjoying your Friday, getting ready for the weekend. So let's go ahead and let me show you the tequila that I'm tasting today. It's called Gran Ordenal. I think I pronounced it right, anyways. So I heard some good things about it. Never had it. Gonna give it a taste. Let's see. We have Python developer on. Skip my friend's birthday and Friday party, but I'm sure this session is gonna be worth it. Oh man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining. And Python developer, the one that we're gonna be trying to solve some of his we're gonna try to put a solution together for one of the projects he's working on. So as we kind of work through that project, those who are joining again, if you have questions about what I'm doing, feel free to ask, and I'll try to explain as we kind of go through the process. I'm gonna try to explain anyways, but again, there's a lot of moving pieces. So just in case if I do miss some things, because maybe I may be going a little bit faster, just again let me know, and I'll be more to try to give you some more a better explanation, hopefully. So let me go ahead and open up this bottle, give it a taste, and then we'll get started, man. I'll try to solve this problem. So I'm a tequila drinker. I haven't always been, by all means. I have been more in the past, more of a whiskey type drinker. But lately I've been getting more into tequilas, and so I've been trying different tequilas. I've been trying to try more of not necessarily your name brand tequila like Patron or 1800, but more of trying to test some other ones that are out there, trying to find some that are a good bang for your buck, right? Under $30, that are good quality, good tequilas. Try to taste some premium tequilas, see how they compare with some of the other high-end tequilas. And either way, I like tequilas. That's kind of what I've been doing, tasting. There's one tequila that I'm going to try to order if they deliver to my state. So I'm from Texas, and I know Texas is kind of strict. Like they do allow to import, I guess import in liquor into Texas, but it's only specific. I guess where I don't know. It's not like anybody could get a license to import in. For whatever reason, my guess is they're trying to control on what comes in or who has access to ship stuff in or whatever. But either way, I'm gonna try to order one. It's like $90, which is kind of high. It's a high end, but it's supposed to be real good. So we'll see. So let me go ahead and open this up, and then I'll give it my smell test, and then I'll give it a taste it. This smells good. Kind of has a little hint of lime, which I love. I love that hint of lime with tequila. Good smell. Not I have smelled some that are I think a little bit more in your face, more stronger, which I like that, but it still has a nice, good smell to it. So now let's give it a taste. The taste is good. The taste is good. It's a good tequila. I wouldn't consider it a premium tequila. Like, I like it. I like the taste. It actually goes down good, but it doesn't go down as smooth. But again, it's not considered a premium tequila either. You know, premium tequila, they're normally, they do go down smoother. This is not a premium tequila, but it's good. I like the taste. Has a very small burn, but I don't mind that. Again, to me, I'm okay with that, but it's good. Let's see. What is Python developer saying? There are 7 people with me now, all excited and looking forward to the solution. Awesome, man. You got a little party over there. You got a little streaming party. Everybody's joining in. That's awesome, man. All right, guys. So let me take one more sip and let's get started. So those of you who are watching, who are just joining, I got a request from a viewer. It's Python developer, and pretty much his ask was about how to can we build a solution to ultimately kind of build a basic web app that's going to have functionality to be able to ultimately, like, they have 2 buttons, for example, where we could go ahead and click on the button to pull the IMDb data for like the top movies. I believe it's like the top 250 movies. And then the second button is, what was it? I think it's to rebuild, like backup. I believe to run the backup process on a Postgres database. So it's kind of 2 functionalities, but ultimately from a UI to control it, the request was to use Flask to do this, task, and some code was provided. And I did a quick test earlier. I did some small modifications, but I did a quick test earlier on the code that was provided, and pretty much does what it's supposed to do. It works how it's supposed to. So, but we're gonna start piecing these other pieces together, which is gonna be the Flask, the UI piece of it. Add the functionality again when you click on the button to do certain features, which in this case would be to pull data, pretty much data scrape data from the from a specific URL, and then of course the other button would be to do a backup process of the data that got loaded to the database. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I have everything I have my environment set up. I created a virtual environment already in advance, and I started to install packages that I know I was going to need. Like, let me just kind of click on it. I could kind of show you. So for example, I have Flask installed. What else do I have? Now by default, when you install Flask, it installs all these other packages like Jinja 2. There's a few other of these that it gets installed. Then of course some of the other packages that I installed as well would have been like the request package, which again installed some of these other packages. I also installed for a Postgres connection this one, and SQL Alchemy, and let's see, Beautiful Soup. That was the one I was looking for. So this one is again used for data scraping. So either way, I think what we're doing here, nothing's gonna be like proprietary anyway. They're nothing confidential. So once, hopefully, we put a solution together and get it working, I'll deploy the source code to my GitHub account, and then of course anybody who wants to use it could get it from there. So let's look at the code that was provided, and then we're gonna do a quick test, and then we'll start building out the Flask application. So this is kind of what was provided, and ultimately, some of the legwork's already being done where we have the URL. So let's just kind of look at it so we know what we're dealing with. So what we're trying to do. So let me go ahead and take that. So if we take a look at it, you could tell it's the top 250 movies. That's pretty much the list, and it just scrolls down from 1 all the way to 250. Pretty straightforward. That's kind of what we're trying to pull this information. So that's where Beautiful Soup comes in to do the scraping of the data, right? So let me move this to the side. I'm not gonna go too detail into a lot of what this is doing. The requester is actually the one that put this together, so he knows what he's doing from this aspect of it. But at least those of you who are watching, ultimately what we're doing, we're scraping and we're pulling key key elements from the HTML. That's pretty much what we're doing. We're scraping data from the HTML web page based on certain attributes, and then that's kind of how he's able to we're getting the links and the movies, the ratings, and so on. Ultimately, it just gets put into a list, right? That's kind of what we're doing. Iterates, puts it into a list. And in this case, we're put into a CSV file. And then, of course, it gets loaded into a database. So, Python developer, just kind of one of the questions I have related to this guy is, this technically is not needed, but is there a reason why you would want to save it to a CSV file compared to just saving it directly to a database? So just we could do both. I'm just not sure if there was a reason that you would want this to a CSV file. Because that's kind of right now, that's what we're doing. We're doing actually two actions: saving it to a CSV file, and then it's being saved to a database. So in two places. This, in theory, could go away, and it will still save it to the database. So just kind of want to point that out. I did make some few tweaks. Ultimately, my database config, which in this case would be database, the user, the password, the server, the port, and then of course my database name. I created a just for testing. Okay, no, I got it. So I created a testing database which I call IMDb, and where is it at? Here it goes. So let me just kind of delete this because I want to run it from beginning to end, so we kind of just see everything real quick. So let me get this deleted. So I created a database on one of my development Postgres databases, and I just called it IMDb. So that's just kind of what we're going to be working with. Just if those of you who are just curious, the database happens to be located in AWS RDS, so it's a Postgres instance, and that's where the data this database is located, and we're going to be saving our data in there. So right now it's empty. There's nothing in there, and let's just go ahead and run what we have here, right? So let's go ahead and run it. What is it? Python IMDb. And this is just a sample of the data set because again I printed it over here. There is no CSV. There's no need to save that. Then of course it should have saved to the database, which we go back, take a look at it. We see data now. This is the name of the table, and then of course we have our data in our database, and then all of the values from ratings, year, pretty much what we're scraping. So ultimately the functionality, I believe as of right now it's there. Now what we need to do, kind of put a face to it. And again, we're gonna do this in Flask, and and then ultimately build just nothing fancy, but a basic just UI to kind of get it to work. So let's start setting up the Flask project. So let's see. What I'm going to do is, for this, I'm going to create So before I create that, let's see, I'm gonna create, let me call it, I'm gonna create a few files. Let me just kind of get these set up, and now I'll kind of explain what these files are gonna be for. Um, so my first file is going to be, let's call it web app py. My second file is going to be my WSGI app, WSGIPY, and let's see. Then I think what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create a folder. I'm gonna call it let's call it source. I'm gonna call it source, and then inside here I'm gonna call this imdb.py. Yes, that's what I want to call it. So the whole purpose behind source is, let's say, I know right now we're only dealing with IMDb data scraping, but let's say I'm thinking more like longer term. You want to add new data scraping sources that maybe in this case is IMDb, but let's say you may want to add your scraping data from some other website, and then what, I don't know, I'm just whatever other sources are out there, but you're pulling data from that other website. Well, that's a different source. So then that's kind of where we would just create another file for that source. So like that, you can manage the code on a per source basis. And even on this one, the IMDb, just kind of, if we go back to the page that we're looking at, this is specifically for top 250, but they probably have other, I don't know, like I'm just trying to think what else they have that one could pull, right? Like top box office. Let's say we want to pull this data. So this could again live in that same file, but it would be a different URL that would ultimately will be utilized to pull this data. So I'll explain kind of what I mean by that, but I'm thinking more of building it to a level where you could add on to it, right? So it's not very static to this source only, but you could expand to it for other sources and kind of have some sort of flow to kind of help manage it. So that's kind of my view of it. So let's kind of go through that. Let's see. Okay, so as I build my sources, then I'm gonna have my files in there. Then let's see, what I'm gonna do is let's see. Okay, so in here, this is where we're gonna end up bringing in a few. Let's bring in a few methods that we're gonna end up using. For example, let's bring in the Flask import blueprints. Oops, blueprint. Yeah, blueprint, and then the other one would be the request. All right. What else do we need to bring in? We may need to bring in a database, or maybe not. Well, you know what? I don't think we need to do that for now. I'll keep that out for now. I think this is it. I think this is all we will need to bring in. So what I'm going to end up doing next is I'm going to create I'm going to call this, because this is the IMDb, I'm going to call it IMDb mode. And this is going to relate to this blueprint. I'm going to give it a name. So the name that I'm going to call this will be IMDb. So this name is ultimately going to be part of the URL pass. And we'll see it in action, like once I get to the point where I'm running it. I think it'll make sense on what I'm doing here. You know what? Let me make this bigger. I just noticed kind of small. There it goes. All right, that's much better. So next, I'm gonna do a IMDb. My route. So this is gonna be, let's say for example, what was it called again? What was this called? This was called top 250 movies. So we could call this something like top 250 movies, right? So this is going to be ultimately part of the URL, and again, once we put in action, it's going to be our main, let's say our main domain. But for right now, because we're testing, it's going to be the 127.0.0.1. I'm probably use port 8000, and then it's going to be IMDb, and then it's going to be top 250 movies. So this is going to be pretty much our URL. And as we have other paths for our URL, because again, let's say if we're dealing with how I mentioned earlier, another one where maybe it's called top movies. I think that was another one that I saw. Then it will be something like this. We'll have another route for that, and that would ultimately, there will be logic inside this route that will give us data from that other page, which would be the top movies. Again, this is out to the end user. They want to expand on it. So, but for right now, we're only dealing with one. So let's kind of work on this guy. So let's see. So in here, this is going to be a what? This will be a get. Right, we're not posting nothing. We're just running the get. It will be a get call, and then ultimately that would do it. So I'm trying to think what else. Okay, so here's where we create our function that would ultimately be for this. I'm gonna call this get top 250. Just call it movies. Okay. And then there will be no arguments to pass in here. I don't think we need to call anything. This is where, now that we have this, some of the logic that we have in here could ultimately be passed into there. And the way we would do that, we will kind of package this up into this function. So let's kind of play around with that, but that's kind of what we're going to end up doing here, right? So for right now, let me start taking some of this code. I'm going to take all of it, and then I'll clean it up once we put it over there. And right now, it's going to be a little messy. That's fine. The whole purpose is just try to get something functioning, working. That once we finish, we could do. That's the way I normally work, right? It may be messy in the beginning, but it's functional. Logically, I try to keep it at least decent. But then eventually, once everything's working, go back and clean it up. So let's see. So I'm gonna have to bring in pretty much all of, I think, everything from here. So let's bring all of these in. Where does this can't come? Oh no! What the hell? Why this is this should not be in here? Yeah, I don't know why this is in here. That's odd. So this guy here is from pretty much my environments. Instead of me hard coding in my information, again, my server, port name, database name, username, password, that kind of stuff, I'm not going to show it because, again, I'm using credentials. It's a test environment, but nevertheless, I'm using credentials for one of my databases. But I have this .env file, and ultimately I have. So normally the way it works, if you're not familiar with environment variables, is this file. Anytime you deploy your code changes to GitHub, GitLab, etc., these are excluded. So whenever you deploy code to a production server, for example, credentials are not being passed in by default. You would have to create a environment file, one of these .envs. You could protect that file, make it restrictive, where not, it's very limited to maybe only a pseudo user could have access to it. And then of course inside that file you put in your, these variables, right? Like in my case, I have these 5 variables in there, and then of course I have values assigned to them. And ultimately, when the process runs, it'll pick up, it will find this file, it'll read the data from that file and assign it to my variables. So again, that's more, if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of what that's for. Let's see what else. Again, beautiful soup we have in here. The request, we're doing some regular expressions. That's what RE stands for. We have pandas, SQL. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna leave this in here for now. So again, I'll leave it in there for now, but we can play around with it after the fact. Overall, it is doing for the most half what it should be doing. I don't need to print nothing. All right, got my database configuration. It's gonna end up load data to database. And then when it's all said and done, what we're gonna end up doing here is we're going to do a return. So in our case though, the return, we would end up pretty much returning back to the page. So let me see. Oh, we'll figure that out in a minute, but let me just put something blank. But either way, there would be a return. Ultimately, the return is like when you run a GET request. In this case, it's just doing stuff in the back end. We could either return back some kind of message, return us back to the page, the same page that we're at, but we could get some kind of message in return. Again, we'll play around with that piece on how we want to handle that piece. This is ultimately just kind of the getting the URL set up. So we have that set up. It's gonna run, do its thing. Okay, so I think for now we're good on that piece. Now let's go back to on the web app. So inside the web app, this is where pretty much we're bringing everything in, right? So again, kind of going back to these sources. These sources are going to be specific URL paths that ultimately do something, do some kind of action that we're going to want it to do. That's kind of what we're doing here. And I'm trying to think. This will actually be slightly different because we need to render the let me try to think. So you know what, we're gonna need 2. So this is in order to get back the top 25, but we need like a landing page first that we need to go to. So I think what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do another IMDb route, and I'm gonna call this damn it, what do I want to call this? Let's see. This is the get 25. Let me add that in the URL. I'll call it get top 25 movies. So what I'm going to call this would be top 25 movies get, and then I'm gonna create a function. Just call it I don't know. Let's call it top 25 movies page. Let me just put it for now. The place. Ultimately, so what was going to happen is when we go to this URL, it's going to take us to our page. Think of it, the page that it's going to be for this. That page is going to have, let's say, some buttons. The button would be to run the process of get top 25 movies, or to rebuild database, whatever we're trying to do. Ultimately, that's what this, but this is going to take us to the page. Now, when you click on the button that says, let's say, get top 25 movies or whatever, ultimately that button is going to run this URL. And then this is where all the actual processing happens behind the scenes to get the data, put the data in a list, and ultimately pass that data over to the database. Here in return, once we're done, this is where we could come back to this page here, once everything has been successfully processed. So I'm gonna leave that for now like this. We'll come back and we'll add a page and the HTML and all of that. So we'll do that in a minute, but I do want to get some of the core things set up. So let's kind of go back to our, what I'm calling web app. So let's do from Flask import Flask. Next I'm gonna have to do from source let me think. From source IMDb import IMDb mod. There it goes. Then I'm gonna create my app, call it Flask _name. Let's see. Then I'm gonna register my app _ blueprint. Then I'm going to provide the IMDb mod _URL prefix equals, in this case it would be IMDb, because again this all relates to our URL pass. Okay, so I think that's it. Ultimately, I'm getting all of that registered. Again, if we add more sources, what I'm calling a source, where we put in, let's say, movie. I mean, in this case, we're doing movie data from IMDb website. But again, a different website that has some kind of ideal source, then we will create its own file, add the logics, the URL path where you're going to do its actions, and then we'll import that into our web app. So we're trying to keep things separated so it becomes a little bit more easier to manage if you decide to expand, kind of grow on the project, right? Ultimately. So now I think once we have that in order, we're gonna go to our WSGI py file, and this is where we're gonna do from web app import app. So again, we have the app object here. We're going to ultimately import that in over here. If name main, and ultimately we're going to run the app run. Let's call it port 8. Let's do 8000. Debug equal true. So for now, we're going to put the debug equals true because we want to see it in action, pretty much. Like if there's any errors, we want to be able to see the errors that we're going to be dealing with. I think it looks good, I got to say. All right, so now that we have that in order, I'm going to run it, and it should run, but we're not, I mean, ultimately we're not done yet. But if I run it, the way to run would be Python wsgi.py. It ran. This is my URL, of course. If I run it, there's nothing there right now. So you could tell there's nothing there. But ideally, our pass would be IMDb, still nothing there, and then it would be um, so just kind of show you, right? It just kind of give you a quick little test, and maybe let me add something to it so we can kind of at least see it. So let's say if I want to, I don't think I could return it that way, but let me see. Um, let's see. So let's say I do, just for right now, we're gonna do and let me do, damn, I can't do that. Um, just for now, I just want to show you something, right? Total rows loaded for IMDb, right? So that would just be the message that we would get back. So ultimately, we would have run this guy here. Let me go to the browser, and I want to add that to the end. Get top 25 movies. What? Oh, you know what? Damn it. There it goes. No problem, man. Again, if you do have any questions, as I'm streaming and I'm going through everything, man, feel free to let me know. The video would be available, should be available anyway as well on my channel. So even if you want to go back and look at the video later, it should be there. Okay, so I think so. Here's some of the changes we're gonna have to make. As we could tell, it's this table already exists. So this kind of relates more to if we look at the process, see how we're gonna load it into this table, and ultimately it already exists, which means there's a few options, right? One option could be we do a drop and replace. We drop the data and then we reload fresh data. So they just assume that we do go with that option for now. So what we could do here is let's see. So let's see. Let's kind of look at that real quick. We're gonna do a delete table. I really haven't had a need to do that, so that's why I'm kind of going over. Let's look at the docs real quick. Where's their documentation at? Using this to be able to do a drop. So wasn't trying to run a raw cursor, but if that's the case, we might as well use Panda to do that, and that'll do the same thing. Let's do that for now. We'll use Panda to do it. It's actually I think probably more easier option. So we have Panda already in here. So let's kind of come back right before we get to the point. Let's see. We're gonna do a drop table. Yeah, so we'll do drop table. But I'm gonna have to bring in. Let me bring that in. From pandas.io import SQL. All right, so now that I brought that in, execute, and we're just gonna do a drop table, and then I'm gonna just specify this table. Engine. All right, so now let's go ahead and run this. So let me see, it must have not dropped it. Oh, you know what? Damn it. This is for these settings. That's why. Okay, so you know what? Man, I forgot. I'm using the settings. Let's come back for this. We'll come back for this in a minute. I just want to kind of show you something real quick. So I'm just gonna manually delete it, but we'll fix it. We'll come back. We'll get that straightened out. So just this is deleted. Really, we just want to kind of show you this real quick. When this URL pass is ran, right? It's running. Of course, we get a results back of 250 total rows loaded into. So it's just like a message that we're returning back. Ultimately, we could do something where we could get some kind of message like this that we get back, but it could redirect us to another page, perhaps, or even send us back to the page that we're at. But as you could tell by us running this URL pass, if I go to the database, we have our table there and we have data. So we see that it's working, right? We're able to execute that task through the URL. Now, what we're going to end up doing, though, we're going to have a URL that's going to point to a page, and that's ultimately where our UI comes in, right? We're going to have a button and do all of that kind of stuff. So, but I want to just kind of show you this real quick, this aspect of it, where as we call, again, this specific, where is it at? There it goes. As we call this route here, which is again this URL pass, it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting data and it's loading the data into the database. Ultimately, though, in order to get to the UI, we're going to end up calling this route here, and that's kind of what we're going to end up doing next. Now we're going to go ahead and get that built out. But at least you see it in action, right? Like at least hopefully now you see how the URL pass that we have, the way the URLs pass the logic works, just kind of just to make sure you understand the hierarchy of the file, just kind of for you to see how the files are, how one reference another file and ultimately that references another file. This is a starting point. This is like the highest level, and this is the starting of your app, which is why when I ran my app, I'm running Python whiskey file, which is this file. So I'm starting off by running this file. As I run it, everything gets going. The app starts, and then ultimately, as you could tell, it imports in this web app file that I have here, and then it imports in the app object. If I look at the web app, as you could tell, I'm bringing in sources. In this case, I have one source that I'm registering in. I could have multiple sources, right? I could have multiple other sources that I'm going to be dealing with. But in my case, I like building it this way because it allows it kind of to provide specific URLs for specific purposes, right? So let's say if you're doing something like some kind of crude application and you're building a admin, you're gonna have an admin section when the admin page you want to call it section could have many different pages. One for user creation, another for security groups or whatever, right? A lot of different pages. Well, in that case, you would create an admin, source, and then of course inside that admin file, you could have different URL paths for different pages to see. Then of course you could have another source. The other source could be, let's say it's an app that's like a CRM application, and it's going to be for to create clients. So you could have a client source. Then you could have another source that's going to be for calls, and that's where they enter in their call information or whatever. So that's kind of how you kind of separate a lot of the different sources. Um, so hopefully that makes sense. If not, as we cannot continue on the project, maybe it makes a little bit more sense. But everything's, for the most part, we see everything working, right? Things are working. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So now what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna put a basic HTML page together and kind of get that working. So what I'm gonna end up looking up right quick would be it's been a while since I have used Flask. Well, let me rephrase it. I know how to use Flask, on like the core functionality, but it's been a while that I have created an HTML page for Flask because the Flask projects that I have built or that I have worked on or were built that I still manage are more like API driven, API purposes. So there is no UI; it's more backend. But let's kind of look into that creating a Flask HTML. It's pretty straightforward. It's been a while since I've done it, so I'm just gonna kind of review the docs right quick, and we'll get some good examples to kind of get that set up. So let's go to the documents. Let's take a look at. I'm trying to find where's the Flask. There it goes, Flask documentation. So I always reference documentation. Sometimes, even if, again, I've been doing coding in Python for, I don't know, man, 8+ years now. And, because I work on different projects, different frameworks, different libraries or whatever, documentation is there. So it's always good to kind of go back and kind of get a refresher every once in a while especially when we haven't worked on it in a while. So let's look at, where's our HTML templates? Let's see. No, it's not going to be in here. I think it's going to be. Let's take a look at this. So ultimately, we're going to create an HTML page, and we're going to be returning that back. So that's like the first thing I need to do. So let's do that real quick. Let me create a. It didn't show that, but I do recall that. So I'm going to create a templates folder. And inside here, I'm going to have my HTML pages. Oh man, is that a folder or a file? Damn, that's a file. Let me delete that. Templates. All right. Then inside here, I'm going to create a page. Let's just call it top 250. So no, you know what? No, let me do one more thing. Because again, this kind of goes back to having a good structure. Inside the templates folder, I'm going to create another folder called IMDb. So the reason why I'm doing this is so I could keep all my HTML files inside that folder only. If I have another source I'm going to be working with, we'll create another folder for it. Again, it's all about just keeping things organized, right? At the end of the day, top 250 movies HTML. So just call it that for now. So we're not going to do this in this example, but let's say, for example, you're going to have multiple pages and you're going to have the same style on multiple pages. Normally in those cases, what you end up doing, you create an index file, an index HTML file, which is like your core format. And then what happens is you could create, other HTML pieces of code that only relates to that page, and you would import in that you would import that in with your index HTML page. So it's kind of like your index HTML page is like the core. Then like say like the middle piece, which is what changing. You know, you would import that in. We're not gonna do this here in this example, but that's another video we can make later if needed, and then I'll kind of, you know, just want to make sure I don't kind of confuse everybody here. So we could create HTML. I guess it's not. I'm gonna create HTML5. Damn it! I must not have that installed on here. So let me install that real quick. That's gonna help out. I thought I had it installed, but I guess not. HTML. Okay, I think it's done. There we go. So at least it kind of gets some of our things set up. And we'll call this IMDb top 250. All right, then we have a body. We don't need this right now, so this I'm gonna delete. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use Bootstrap, right? Keep it simple. Let's go ahead and bring in Bootstrap. So I use Bootstrap in a lot of my projects. Now, normally we change the styles of the Bootstrap, but again, this is strictly for testing purposes. So it's fine on, you know, the style that it comes in. So let's get started. Bootstrap 5, that's cool. So let's go ahead and copy this. Yep, just going to copy from the CDN. So let's get this copied. This will come up here in our header. I could replace that. So our CSS file, we'll put that on top. Oops. Let's bring in this JavaScript, the bundle file. Yeah, this should be fine. We'll put this in the bottom. All right, so we have that. Okay, so I think we're good. I think we got everything imported in that we need. So now that we have that, let's do a quick. I'm just gonna try to copy for the UI something basic. Let's look at. I'm gonna look at maybe card layouts. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What are we gonna need? We're gonna need. Let's look at forms, right? So we're gonna be dealing with buttons for our forms. Try to copy something basic. Layouts. So let me go back. So what I'm gonna do is div. Oh, what the hell? What the hell, man? Are you kidding me? That's odd. What the hell, man? This is not working the way it should. So we're gonna do class. We'll do container. In here, what we could do is look at layouts real quick. Let me get a card. So let me copy this. This will actually work for what I'm trying to do. Just kind of not have it too plain, I guess. I don't need this image. I'm gonna remove that. I just want the card header, card body, the title. We'll call this IMDb top 250 movies. So what oh, you know what? Hold up. What I need to do here is we need to get a form. So let me go back to forms. This is where I'm going to bring in a form. I need a form with there it goes. But man, I don't want it that way. You know what? This is fine. So let me copy this. This would be. I'm gonna replace this guy. This will be actually inside the card. Inside form, we're gonna do action. We'll put an action in here. Method would be get the button, which is to submit, is going to be get movies, or let's do load movies to DB, to database. We don't need this for now. Just gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this. All right. So the action here would be IMDb / what did I call it over here? The get movies. And then we'll just put, let's see, what kind of message we want to put here. Let's see, click on the load movies to DB button to run process and load data to database. We'll just do that for now, that's fine. Let me delete all of this. All right, so now that we have this page, what I'm gonna do now, let me go back to my so kind of right here, what I'm doing, the return, this is where I'm gonna be returning back my page, right? So let's see. There it goes. So we're gonna run the render template. That's what we're gonna. So I'm gonna have to import that in. So let's get that imported in. So if I go back to, is this? No, that's not it. There we go. This guy here. Under Flask, I'm gonna import in render template. Right. So in here, I'm gonna end up doing a return render template, and then this would be, I will specify the past, right? So in this case, it would be, what is it? Templates, IMDb, top 250 movies, HTML. So this is what it should return back. So let's go ahead and test it out. All right, so this is what I'm gonna have to run, this URL. What happened? Template not found. Oh shit, I didn't put dot. Okay, so what am I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? Never mind. It's already looking inside templates. I forgot. I don't need to provide templates. So in Flask, same thing in Django. Django, I'm more of an expert in that framework because I use that a lot. So those Flask and Django the same way. By default, it looks inside your templates folder. So you don't need to provide the template like what I did, template folder. It's already starting there to begin with. So that was a mistake I did. I provided it, but I did not need to. Boom. Okay. Cool. So I mean, again, it doesn't look pretty, but nevertheless, at least we're getting the hang of it, right? It's generating the HTML, as we could tell. You know, this is our HTML page that we have. Now what we're gonna want is when we do run this, I'm thinking either it takes us back to this page. Well, I guess let me ask you, Python developer, as when you run this process, do you want it to take you to another page that tells you like this kind of message like process successfully? Do you want it to take you back to this page, the top 250 movie page? Or what would you, I guess, prefer to do? Like once we do click it and it's done, we could you know, I could redirect it, you know, to kind of come back to this page if needed. So let's see. So let's say for right now, we click it, it would work, and what's gonna happen? We'll get back some kind of message because that's kind of what it's doing today. Let's look into, let's do a redirect for now. So let me look into on in Flask, how do we do a redirect? Again, it's been a while since I done this in Flask, but let's take a look at it to see. So let's see. Redirect. So yeah, okay, we're gonna have to bring in the redirect. There we go. That makes sense. Again, just like Django, same concept of Django. Where's our redirect at? That's what I want to see. There it goes. And then we provide What is this providing? User name. Oh, providing that pass. Got it. Okay, let's do that. That should actually work. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have it redirect back to this page, but we'll get some kind of message, right? We'll get a message to kind of be displayed that it was processed successfully. So let's do that. This would be done in let me try to think. So at the end of this guy, this would be our message for now. And then I'm going to do a return, but I need to bring in redirect. There you go, redirect. We'll do a redirect. The location is going to be, in our case, would be IMDb. Top movies. Let me see. I think so. What we're gonna have to do here as well then is message equals none. Render template. We'll bring in message in here. By default, it will be none. But when we do a redirect, let's see. We want to send a message over. So let's go to our HTML. Let me do that in the bottom of the form. Where's my format? I'll do the I'm just gonna do in the bottom of the body. That's fine. So we still need to fix this issue about dropping and replacing the table. For right now, again, we'll get to that in a minute. Just trying to get through the other stuff that's going to be more straightforward. So now that we've done that, let's see. All of this seems good. Let me hit a refresh. What happened? Takes one, but two were given. Okay, so let's see. I think this is going to be related to the parameter that I provided. Oh, let's see where this happening at. Let's take a look at our source file. Trying to think. So I think what we're gonna have to do, but this is part of the URL, which I don't like because I don't want to do it this way. Damn it! Let me see. Alright, so let me see that real quick. What we're gonna need to do is pass in a argument. I don't want to pass in a. I don't want to pass it in the form of the URL. I want to pass it in in the through the request method. So in order to do that, let's see. So we could do something like that. We could see about displaying the data. For right now, we'll get it at the minimum. We'll get a message back. So we'll start off there. But I think once we get that working and functioning, then of course that's where we could fine tune it. You could have it come back in the form of a grid or something and kind of display it to the end user. Um, let's see. Um, hmm. Let's try something out real quick. So, you know what? We have to do it that way. This is a get request. So let's do it that way. This actually will work. So let me do IMDb mode route top 250 movies / message get, because it's only if it's a get. My message would be here as none. We would pass that on over to the page, whatever the message is. So the message is going to be sent over to the URL, which is fine. I don't see that being an issue. So I think what we're going to have to do here is going to be something as URL equals IMDb top 250 movies. Message, and then that would replace this guy here with the URL. All right, so now that we have that, okay, so now let me come back to the page. Let's hit refresh. We're still getting an error. Why are we getting an error? Render template takes one position. Where's my render template? Okay, so I kind of see what's happening now. So now we need to be able to pass in that value into our HTML file. So that's probably going to be, let's see. So let's see real quick. We're going to do Python Flask variable to HTML file. Render template number equals random number. Yeah, no, that should work. I don't think we need the equal sign. That doesn't really make sense. Yeah, no, I mean it should work. So that's not sure why it didn't. There it goes. There it goes. It does work. Okay. So I'll put some logic into that. So if I come back to my page, where that message at right here. So it would be something like if message is none, then blank. Else, we show the message. In elf, I believe. I think that's what it is. I think it's the same. That's how you do it in Django. I believe it's the same way in Flask. I could be wrong, but we'll test it out. Nope, it is wrong. Hold on. Name test none. Let's see. So let's look it up real quick. Python Flask, HTML if else. If condition else. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I thought. Same way. That's how you do it in Django. Not yeah, Django. So it doesn't. Is that what it is? It doesn't like none. Let me do this real quick. I think this would may actually work. Yep. So what I'm gonna do here is this message will come up here. There it goes. So see, now there's no message there, which is fine. So let's see if this works. But ultimately, what should happen when we run it, it should redirect us back to this page when it's done processing. Then we should get a message in the bottom. So let's cross fingers, see if that works. Oh shit! It's providing the URL multiple times. So now let me go back to that. Let's see. My HTML. Is that what it is under the action? Get. I guess I don't need to provide this. So let me get rid of that. And let's try it again. Alright, one more time. It's running. Boom, it worked. Awesome. So we got a message back. And you can tell the message down here is ultimately based on the URL. Because we provided, this is ultimately the message over here. Now this is, in this case, because we're just dealing with a basic message that at least show that it's been loaded. So at least we get some kind of, at least we get a notice that it loaded, right? So of course, if I go to the database, hit refresh. Yep, we got our table in there. We have our data. Cool. All right. So I think we're making some progress. We have a button. It's doing what we want it to do. So I'm trying to think. So right now, if I were to refresh this, yeah, it's not going to reload. It just takes me back. If I were to try to reload this, it should error out. Oh, it's not. Okay, so this is something I need to look into. It's actually redirecting me. All right, so that's not right. I need to fix that. So let's get that fixed real quick. We're almost there. We're getting there, but we need to change the URL pass. I know, again, Django is kind of my expertise framework that I deal with all the time. Flask is very similar, but there's a few changes. So that's where I'm kind of having to do some research as we go as well, because it's been a while since I used Flask. Um, let's see. So what I want to do is let's say Python Flask URL pass in HTML. Let's see. And this is ultimately in our HTML file. There it goes. Use for static file. Yes. I'm pretty sure it's not called URL for. It's called something else. Trying to think what it's called in Flask. So let's see where they. All right, let's see. So maybe that is it. URL for the app. So okay, so I think it is. That is what it is for that. So let's try that. That's really what I should have done in this case instead of providing the raw pass. So under my form for actions, it would be URL for. Let's see. In my case, it should be app as well. Let's see. So yeah, it is gonna be app, and then it would be. I think in my case, it would be IMDb, and then it would be. Let's see. No, that's not what it's called. Let me go back to it. It's called this. All right, I think should be it. So let's test it out real quick. Oops. Undefined app. What's happening here? URL app. So let me remove it. Maybe I don't need app in here. Let's try this. Nope, that's not it. IMDb underscore mod. I think that's probably what it is. Nope, that's not it either. What the hell, man? Hmm. Again, it's been a while since I have done this in Flask. I do it all the time in Django. Just been a while in Flask. So let's see. So URL from. Then of course pointing to the function. Let's try that, see if that works. Oh shit, so let me remove this. For sure that's not gonna work because of that. Nope, either way, that's not working either way. So let me remove this. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So let's look up. Oh, let me make sure I understand the Flask URL. What is it called again? URL 4. See main.get. I want to see it in the HTML file though. With HTML. Book page, blah blah blah. So let's see. Book page, which makes sense. Now in my case, I got a few different layers though, but it still should work. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I know why. Shit. I didn't put it in quotes. All right, so let me do IMDb. There it goes, I think. But I think here it goes. So now if I click on it, yep. So at least it works now. It did redirect. It did direct me back to the right path. So all right. So that's the fix. There we go. This is valid. I forgot. I didn't have my single quotes in there. That's how. So that's solved. That's fine. Now let's solve this issue. The whole database where we want to drop and replace the database. So let's solve that issue now. I know we've been putting it to the side, but let's go ahead and get that solved. So this, we're gonna need to do again a drop and replace. So let's do. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do it with. Okay, so I think we're good with that. We're gonna do Python drop table. Just kind of keep it consistent. That's what we're doing already. So we want to be able to drop that table. No, that's not what I want. There we go. Let's look at their documentation. You know what? Let me give me another drink. We're getting there, man. I think we're almost there. Um, I want to drop. Let's see, where's. Um, so I think we saw this earlier. I just want to see. So it would be. This is our pretty much our connection that we have, database. Yep, our connection. Provide the table. Oh, there's a if exist replace. Oh, it's I can't use just the exist as it inputs data. It's actually blah blah blah, which loops over. You know what? Let's try that real quick. If exist replace. This would actually be in our 2 SQL. If exist replace. Right? So let's give that a try. That's not what I wanted. All right, there it goes. So now we're in our. Let's run the process. So see, I haven't deleted this table. This table's still there. Boom, there it goes. That was pretty easy. Just needed to add the is exist replace. And so now if I rerun it again, right? Let me rerun it again. It's running. Boom, there it goes. I think we got it. And then we pretty much have a fresh table with fresh data. Awesome. All right, I think we made some good progress here. So okay. So I think so this seems to be working. The URL path is working. We fixed the issue. It's doing again kind of going back. I needed to add this if exist replace argument at the end, which pretty much is dropping the table, then recreating the table, which is exactly what we wanted to do. So that's doing its job. For now, we are sending a message back, so we're able to display a message that it's been loaded. So I think so far we're doing what we wanted to do. I think the next step is, let me kind of go back. I'm gonna look at my the email that I received with some of the on what we're trying to accomplish here. I believe the next thing is we also want to auto backup and recovery in Postgres using Python. So this will be more what we just did right now is the aspect of creating a basic UI right in Flask where we could execute the process to load data, right? Ultimately we're loading data into the database. It's dropping the table and reloading fresh data. So yes, we just need a field on the UI which says enter URL, then load button. So I did see your screenshot about the enter URL. Now, is it are is there a reason why you want to enter the URL? Is that because and the reason why I'm asking is if I come to the file, see how we have this URL. So right now, what you built pretty much, works for this specific URL, but it may not work for other URLs, right? Because the structure of the HTML is different. Is there a reason though? And I just want to make sure I understand. Is there a reason you want to enter this in instead of having it, I guess, like the way it is now, where it's kind of like hard coded in and you just kind of run the process? I just want to make sure I understand the logic behind that on the entering in the URL. And then the other button was, and we could add that real quick. Let's add this other button here. Now this one we can't do a submit, but what we could do is we'll do an A tag. Damn it. There it goes. href. It will be some kind of URL pass. We'll see that in a minute. Class, we're gonna call this button. Maybe I'll call this secondary, or what are my other options? Secondary. Let's see. Backup database or something like that, right? Right, so now we have two buttons here, backup database, and of course load movies, or again, that's not the ideal name. Need to change it. So let's see. I have shared code from a auto backup. Yep, we could. Yes, we just need a field on the UI which says URL. Let's see, just like in real world business, how we download YouTube videos, we enter URL. I just need to test. Okay. So we'll add it where you can put the URL. Only thing to keep in mind is, let me kind of go back to that page, right, that we're looking at. Since this is kind of specific for that top movies, 250 movies. So if we look at this, see how if we go to the other URL, which is, let me go back real quick. My bad. Let's look at both of these real quick. I just want to make sure. So these may work. Again, and I haven't tested out by all means, but they may work because they seem to be in the same format. So you may be able to extract both of them properly. The only thing though is these are two different data sets, right? Box office, and you have top 25. Now, if we, by default, we did kind of create this pass where it's like it's top 25 movies. So right now it's only, the from a URL standpoint, it's only directed to the top 25. If you were to put a different URL, and they just assume, right? They just for now say that you put in this other URL and it works, and they put in data. We would have to add additional logic if that's the case, because I'm just trying to think through it. If we were to run that process, it's assuming that works, then what that means is now we're going to be loading that data into this top 25 movies table, when in reality it probably should go to its own table, right? Its own table that maybe it's called IMDb box office movies or something like that, right? It should be a whole different table as well. So just kind of keep that in mind from a logic standpoint. We could add a URL field where you kind of put this in, but keep in mind too, though, when we click that button, it's going to execute this function here this function is kind of designed right now for top 25. If it's going to be more dynamic, we would have some other. We would need to add some different functionality, where the table name, for example, would need to be some kind of variable because that will have to be different. It wouldn't be the same. So there'll have to be some different logic that we would have to add if that's the case. But I'll add it for now. And that's something to just kind of think about that may need to be tweaked and added later. So let's go ahead and add that real quick. So this would go. Let me just add it in here real quick. Let me add some style to it. Where's my Bootstrap? Do I still have that open? Did I close out of it? So let's go to Bootstrap real quick. Let's go to forms. Let me just copy one of these forms and that should be fine. So I don't need this guy. This could actually go away. So we'll call this just URL for now. No placeholder. This is not an email. I'm going to call this URL. URL. The name would be URL for now. Something basic, straightforward. All right, so this will be one input we would need to pass through. This will come in the form of an input. Okay, so let's do that next. And that would come in the form of a request form, and I'm going to just specify it, so that should be fine. So let's do that. So now let me go back to my file. Up here, my top 25. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to call it URL. Call it URL pass. This would be part of the request dot form URL, I believe, and let me print it out just to make sure. All right, so assuming that this should pull that value from the UI, we're gonna pretty much replace this guy here. So let me copy this so I could put it in. So this is what I'm gonna do too here, right? I'm gonna add logic. So the logic that I'm gonna add is going to be if, URL pass is none, return. We're gonna pretty much return a redirect. Let me get the message as well. So the message here is going to be URL is missing. That's what we'll call this message. Else, if that's not none, then of course what should happen is it'll run the process like normal. All right, so let's see if this works. Oh, let's see what happened. Oops. All right, there we go. So now we got a URL. Awesome. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave it blank. Let's leave it blank. Oh, that didn't work. So let's see what happened here. URL. It didn't like it. It didn't like that it was blank. So this is fine. I think what we could do here is, let's see, HTML. So let's do that. I think this should fix it. So if I go back to my HTML for my input, we're going to input in required in here, right? So we do that, and then we go back to my URL. Ooh. Oops. Let me go back to my. All right, now let's try it. So if I'm here, see how it doesn't let me put it in? So at least now it's kind of making you, right? You can't submit it without entering in something. So at least that kind of adds some, prevents you from processing it. So now that being said, let me go ahead and enter it in. If I enter it in, nope. What happened then? What happened here? So, all right. So it did not like that. So let me go back. Where is it at? It's up here. So let's see. I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it. Let's see. Form data. So it's items. There has to be a way to get it individually. Like I get it, we have many forms. We don't have many forms. Request arguments name. So there. No, that should be for the URL pass though. Let's see. Yeah, Q. Yep. So that's not it. Let's see. So this is what I tried and it's not working. Request. Let me make sure I did it right. Request form URL. Oh, you know what? I need to do a post. Shit. That's why. Never mind. So let's do a post. That's going to be it is going to be a post now. Initially, I had it as a get. That's why. That's why. All right. So now let's try it. So now. All right. So now let me copy that URL. And let's run it. Oh, it's running. Let's see if it works. Damn, it worked. There it goes. It worked. Okay, so that's good. That's good. We made some progress. So now, so this is what I'm going to test out real quick. But at least from that aspect of it, we ran it. I put the URL. It reloaded the process. It reloaded the data. So this is where I kind of going to be. You know, I like to break stuff or like to test something else. I'm going to try this other URL. This is not related to top 25 movies. This is top box office movies, right? So I'm gonna put that in and let's run it. Okay, which makes sense. This is what I expected, right? The HTML is probably different, as you could tell. So for movies for year, because there is no year. So again, it's not gonna work because the code that we have is more specific for the this URL only. But nevertheless, as long as you type it in, then yeah, it's gonna work, right? So if I type in the top 25 or top URL, run it, yep, and it should load, and you can see it loading, and then it's done. Yep, there you go. So that's good. That's working. We added the form. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So I think from that aspect of it, we're good. Now we're gonna go down to the other request, which is the Postgres backup. So let's take a look at that. So let's see. You kind of provided something. So let me do this. I want to do something real quick. I don't know if this is doable, but let's take a look at it. I want to see if this package has any backup functionality. Let me make sure that's what we're trying to do here, right? Do a backup, and backup. Create backup. Database backup. How to back up a database. Yep. So let's see. I'm trying to back up a database. Which, yeah, I don't think is going to allow, which sits between the code, which makes sense. What you're looking for to do is a dump of the entire DB to this, which makes sense. Which is the first. Yep. Which that actually makes a lot of sense. So now let's kind of go back to the page that we're looking at. Where's that page? There goes this guy. So these are commands, of course, your Postgres commands to do the backup. Now, because these are like terminal commands, if this does work, we could have Python run these these commands, so it should still work as well. Let's see. Let me read. I never done this on this aspect of it. Again, I use AWS RDS instances. A lot of my backups are kind of scheduled to schedulers that I kind of have set up on my service. But let's take a look at it. So a PG dump all. If you have multiple Postgres database to back up at once, you can use PG dump. Two things to be cautious about things when thinking about using can take more time than doing a single database dump. So this is you want to dump all the databases. I'm going to assume in this case we just want to do one database dump, which is the one that we're loading data into, or a table dump. I guess either or. I'm assuming it's one or the other, right? Um, So, do you want to do a database dump, or do you want to do? So, when I say database, a lot of time when you're dealing with a database, it'll be in a database format. Do you want to do a backup of an actual the raw database, or do you want a dump of the data but in a SQL format? Like, I guess it would be like in a insert statement or something of that nature. I'm assuming you want it in a database dump format, like in a Postgres format. But I just want to make sure that because I know there's a way to do exports of SQL dumps of the data itself, and it'll be in the form of an insert statement, I guess you could say. So if you ever wanted to like reinsert it to a table, you can. Um, let's see. Build Python HTML template. Creating and deleting table with Python. So we're not creating any table. That's not what we're trying to do. So this is you want to create the table. We're not trying to create it. We just want to back up. So let's see what do backup. Let's see what this says. Backup file schema. So this is doing a backup in a SQL format. Okay, dump in SQL. Got it. All right. If TB type equals schema, save to our backup tables. Let's see. Get a list of backups. So this is generating. Get a list of tables. So it performs a list of all the tables. That makes sense. Then this is a do backup, which takes two parameters: table current and table backup type. All right. So what is the backup type? Okay, backup type. I guess this is schema. This is the only logic I see. If backup type equals schema, then it does this. PG dump. Where's that coming from? Let's see. All right, so let's try this approach. It does kind of make sense of what they're trying to do here, but I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So ultimately, this is a function that we're interested in to do backup, right? So we'll start off there. Backup type, and it has schema for backup type. What I'm trying to understand is table current, t table current. Um, so this is the name of this is just generating the like a random date and time when you do a backup. That makes sense. Then t table current. Where does this exist again? Insert into TB backups. Save to our backup table to track. So ultimately, we would have this is saying. I mean, I guess we'll play around with it. We'll skip this piece for now, but I'm more interested on this last piece. So it's the file name plus the SQL extension. That makes sense. The file. If we happen to do a schema type, it's a SQL file. TP backup type equals schema. Yes. With gzip.open file write pg dump Postgres s. So this is really just running the command out. Where's F at? What does that represent? F. Is it in here somewhere or no? Out equal F. So let me read what this is. So if I look at the document for the SH subprocessor, pretty much kind of run commands, right? System commands. What I need to look at is not. You know what? So let me install that real quick because I am gonna need that. So let's do a pip install sh, so we could access the to run commands. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's take a look at. Oops. PG dump. We'll look at this documentation for PG dump. What are some of these parameters that it wants? The following command lines. Let's see. Try to see if there's any examples in here. Let's try. F is file, so out equals file. That's what I was thinking, but I don't think I saw that unless I missed it. Cause the file, this is the file name right here, the T backup file. Right, which has this is the file name plus the SQL extension at the end. So I'm not sure why it's F. I mean, this is a typo, right? They could have just put a typo. That's probably what it is. But that's kind of where I wanted to see this. So let's take a look at that. That's what I need to look at. Python sh pg dump. So let me look at the sh documentation. So let's take a look at this. Nope, there's nothing in here for that. PG dump. I think that's what it is though. I think it's a file name. So let's play around with it. I'm just trying to see what parameters these take. So for example, based on what I could tell here, this is the command of Postgres to be able to execute that, which means I may need. I think what may happen though, this may not work because I don't think I have Postgres installed on my machine. So for example, let me open it up. If I were to run Postgres, yeah, I don't have that installed. That's ultimately what it's going to try to run. So that means this would have to get installed on your machine to run it. So let's see. Let me see something real quick. So let's do that because I do think we are going to need that. So just kind of keep that in mind. In order for at least that dump to work, we're going to need to install the Postgres command line interface. So let me kind of go through that process. I'm just going to install that piece and that piece only. There it goes. So as we kind of start to get this code, working on your machine, whatever machine you're gonna have this code running, whatever server, for example, you're gonna have the Postgres command line interface installed on there in order to be able to run the these commands, pretty much. Do you want? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and install this, but I'm only going to install the command line interface. I don't want to install the whole database and all of that in here. So I'm going to make sure to uncheck all of these. And finish. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is open up a new tab. You know what? I think I need to close it. And then I'm going to reopen it up again. Oh, what the hell? Why is it not working? So let me see. That's odd. It should have. It should have worked. Well, let's test it out. But yeah, that is odd though, because I do feel along that's installed. Let me try one more thing real quick. PG dump. Nope, that's not working either. So Okay, either way, let's go ahead and try it out real quick. So I think, did I install already? Um, yes, I did. Yeah, you want to make sure. So that's already installed. That's fine. So I'm gonna just import this in. So this would be imported in as from sh import pg dump. Right. So that's kind of what we're gonna do here. Let me start getting things set up. Oops. So what I'm going to end up doing here, I'm going to create another URL path, right? So let's call this md mod route, and let's call it db backup. And this would be a GET request. And then I'm going to call it execute db backup. No parameters. And then this is where we're going to start building out our code. And we kind of use some of this. So I think I'm bringing in PG dump. And then what else? What else do we need from here? Yeah, I think that's it. That's all that we need from here. So let me take this for now and we'll play around with it. Oops. PG admin bin folder to run PG dump command. Well, so in this case, it's running the Postgres, but yeah, let's test it out. Let's see how let's see if it works or not. So I need to import date and time because we're using that as well. Import date time. Yep, so we have our backup time. So let me remove this. I don't think I need this. DB backup. Make this a string and we'll concatenate this together. Oops. We'll do DB backup for now. And again, this could stay as is. So let's see. So we need to import this in as well. Open this file, workbook, dump. Again, I'm going to assume this represents the file name, which is this guy. I don't see that name nowhere in that example. But let's try it out again. Let's see. But you know what? This still was not going to work though. Like, nowhere are we providing which database to connect to. So we're going to have to pass those commands in here on which database are we even going to connect to do a data dump. So I've done that before. It's been a while through Postgres. So let's see, Postgres command dump table. Let's see, do schema data. Let's see. So let me try this. See, that's not working either. That's odd. Oops. Okay, so let's see. So what we're gonna have to provide here is we need to provide all of our information of like what server we're connecting to, what database, credentials, all of that needs to be passed in. So let's see. Trying to think. It's been a while since I have done that through the command line. My only thing though right now is when I installed. Let me just go through it real quick. I just want to see something. Just want to make sure that that has been installed and it has command line interface. So if I go back, let me go look at my program folders real quick. Program files. Postgres SQL 14. Okay, so let's take a look at that then. If there's I probably missed it. Okay, so let's take a look at that real quick. Hit cancel. So T host, port name, database. Okay, so this is passing to database connection. So this, I get this. Then you have a cursor. I get that. Um, so I guess my first question would be: is your Postgres in an environment like AWS, RDS, or Azure, or is it like on prem? Like you just have a server in house and you have it on prem. Because if you do have it set up in like AWS, for example, like I use AWS and I have production servers that are running. I have things scheduled and I have things running to kind of get snapshots and have backups. And I have it running where I collect, I don't know, like 2-3 months worth of backups. You know, something happens, I can always go back to it. And I have it scheduled to run like I believe at midnight or something. Um, that's one option. But if you don't use AWS, for example, or Azure, because I think Azure you could do the same thing. If it's more like on-prem, or you just have some kind of VM running, and you have the Postgres database running on there, so you got to do all of that yourself. Um, it would have to be to the command line interface. Um, Let me look at this package right quick. This guy. Um, let's see. Database backup. So connect to database. You select your table. They want to output. Then to restore. Okay. So you know what? This is what I was thinking. This actually may work. Let's try this. I already have that package installed. I did install that package, so I do have it installed already. I just need to import it in. Since we're gonna try this, I don't need this, and I don't need this. I'm gonna import it in. Py OPSY. There you go. So now that I have this, yeah. So let's try this. I think this may work. I'm just gonna comment this out for now. This could stay. We need a time. We need to create a file name. So that will be our backup file name for now. What we're gonna do? We're gonna create a connection, and this would be the PSY. Oops. Connection. And then we're gonna pass in our specific variable. So it will be database equals database server. Hold on, is this not finding it? Oh no, never mind. It's not in this file. Which file did I have that in? Oh, you know what? I had it over here. That's why. Let me move this out and put it out here for now. I think this, yeah, this should work. There it goes. So now it's able to get utilized. Okay, so now next it would be user database user password database password, And then what's the last one? Port, database, port. There has to be a way, and the other thing needs to be the the database itself. Let me see something real quick. So database equals test, Postgres. Okay, I got that. DB name is a database name. Database is a database name, only has a keyword argument. Let's see, DB name. No, it's the same thing. Here's the thing though, I think this is the actual database name, but that's not right either because I do need to provide create a new database connection, blah blah blah. That makes sense. I need to provide the actual so I need to provide the server connection, but also the database name. So I'm missing something here. Let me look at the documentation real quick. Connect. So this is not used anymore. That makes sense. Host. All right, database host address. That's what it is. So all right, so I need to provide that. All right. So I think I got it. Host. Why did it not show up? I didn't see host as an option. There is host is nowhere on here. Oh, there it goes. Host. Damn it. Okay, it is there. All right. So now let me go back. So this for database is actually going to be database name. And then I'm gonna then there's the host. This is the database server. That makes sense. All right, cool. That makes sense. So now that I have my connection, I'm gonna create a cursor. Yep, and then I'm gonna do cursor.execute. Let's do SQL start from what do we call the database? Table. This is the name of the table. Yep. All right. So now that we do that, we're going to do, let's call it file open. This would be T backup file name. And then this is going to be write. We're going to write to the file name. So now let's do a for row and cursor. Alright, so let's try this out. Oops. So we're going to write insert values. Which is going to be this guy over here. Then it'll be its values. Okay, let's try this out. Let's see if this works. If it does work, what we're going to want at the end, we're going to want to do a return. Same concept, right, as what we did over here. We're going to provide a message. It's going to be a redirect. Then it'll just kind of populate the message. So in this case, we would do something like database has been backup. Let's call it database backup successful, and it sends it back over there. Let me save it. Oh shit. Hey, this is not what I wanted. Alright, there it goes. In the wrong spot. Cool, it's running. So far, so good. We have data still over here, so that's good. Oh man, you know what I need to do? I didn't do. I need to execute this. So in order for me to do that, let me go to my HTML. And I'm gonna have to do a URL for IMDb, and then this is the pretty much the function that I'm going to be calling from the URL pass. So now let's save. Let's see. Let's refresh. All right, so far so good. And let's run it. Let's see what happened. It's saying that this doesn't exist. Let's see. I wonder if it's because the schema's missing. Let me take a look at that right quick. So if we were to do public, now let's try it, see if that fixes it or not. Nope. So why is it not finding it? Let's see. Database server, host, database name, database. Database is a database, host, username, password, and then port. Yeah, everything's there. Let me just make sure that it's populating that real quick. So I'm gonna print out the database name. I just want to make sure. Yep, there you go. They printed it out. So it is bringing in the right variables. Let me make sure. Yep, port, password, username, database server. So that's fine. Got my cursor. The error is related to this piece, I believe. No, my bad. It's related to this piece because it can't find it. Which is kind of odd because it should find it. Yep, providing all my information. Let me try to think. So right now it cannot find this. Why can it not find it? Undefined table. Oh, you know what it is? It's making it lowercase, and I think that's something that it does by default. So this is more a Postgres type deal. That's what it does. So let's do this, right? And this is more because we're dealing with Postgres, and this is the way Postgres acts, to my at least to my experience. Let's make this lowercase, but let's also make this guy over here lowercase. So let's do IMDb top 250 movies, right? We're gonna make it lowercase, and then let's do this one as well, lowercase. That doesn't have to be lowercase. That could be uppercase. No, my bad. It does have to be lowercase. Yep, as well. Lowercase. Let me save it. Let me go ahead and delete this table. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna, oh yeah, I need the URL. So let's see, what was the URL? All right, let's load the data one more time. So it's running. All right, so now we should have, it's in lowercase, which is fine. Now let's run backup. Okay, it's a different issue now. It's not the same issue. So this relates to, I think it's going to be the file name. And it's because I think all the spaces and dots and everything that it has. So let's try to fix that. So what we want to do here is, let me make sure. I think that's what it is anyways. So let me do this because I do want to test it out. Just, you know, we're just in test mode right now. So what I'm going to do is for file name, let me just, for now, instead of adding time, oops, let me do something like 20, 22, 04, 15. We'll do that for now, just for now, right? Just, again, we're trying to test it out. So now let me rerun this. Okay, it did run. Database backup successful. Let's see if we got data back. Boom, we got a SQL file here. Let's click, let's open it up. So let me put this file in a different, let me put it in my Sublime text. SQL. The hell? Wanted to format it. Well, you know what? That's fine. Let me bring that back to this app. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm just trying to format it better. So let me do beautify. All right, beautify the whole file. There we go. So now it's pretty much, we have our table. So let's see, what do we have? So it is creating a backup pretty much, right? An insert statement. We have our values. Now, in order for you to run this, if you're trying to rerun it, you would have to pretty much drop your data set and then just run the script, and it should load. And again, let's test it out, right? Let's make sure that it works. So if I were to do a truncate table, IMDb movies. So let's truncate. Good. So the top 10 rows, and you're talking about like pulling it from the database, like the top 10 from the SQL database. Is that kind of what you're referring to? So for that top 10 list that you're talking about, is that are you referring to, yes, just a query database? Okay, got it. Yep. So let's see. So one of the things, the only issue that I noticed right now when I try to run the script, the backup, it because this is none, right? And in reality, SQL doesn't know what none is. It needs to be no, not none. That's one issue that I see that's wrong. Another issue is it has this layer of curly of brackets, parentheses, but I'm not sure why. Now, once you remove it, it's fine, right? Just it's a matter of um, I don't know why it has that. So that's the only thing that we need to look into on. I think we're almost there. Oh, duh. I think I added it on here. That's probably why. There you go. So this needs to be removed. Remove it from here. So that should fix that issue there. And let me print. I want to look at what a row consists of. Because in my mind, one of the things that I may have to do here is, this is where I want to test it out. Do a row replace none with no, pretty much, right? It's kind of what I would want to do, something like that. But let me run this one more time and let's take a look at the results. I think I closed out of the file already. I'm going to delete this file and then rerun the process again. Let's see. Database backup, tuple, object, replace. Oh, it's a tuple. That's right. All right. So never mind. This is not going to work. But let me look at the data. I want to look at the data real quick. I did do a print statement. So here's the print statement here. Where's none? I saw none somewhere. There it goes. None is right there. So databases do not like none. Oh, you know what? I may have to make this a string first. Let me do that. Let's see what the results are now. Yes. All right, backup successful. Let's take a look at it. Let me open this up with Sublime Text. So far, it looks good. But again, these nuns that are here, yeah, these nuns it does not like. So what I want to do is, let me see if it did replace it. Perfect. That's what I wanted. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna just call it row for now, which means I don't need to do a string on this. There you go. This should actually fix it. So now if I run this, and if I look at the file, boom, none. Perfect. That should work. I think we fixed it. So now that we have a insert statement that's good. We only have one because I deleted all the data. So let's kind of run through the process again, right? So if I were to, damn, I need the URL. So let me get the URL real quick. URL load movie to database. Okay, it loaded it. If I look at the database, hit a refresh. Boom, we have all the data. Awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I want to do a backup database. It's really backing up the table, not the database. I probably should change the name to backup table instead of database, but either way, that's kind of what it's actually doing. So now let me make this is SQL. Let's see, is something wrong here or no? It looks good. You know what? Let me do this. Let me make sure there's no errors in here. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it to my SQL beautify. Oops. Let me select the whole thing. Beautify. All right. It looks good overall, which means if I were to select all of it and run it, it's reloading again, and it seems to be loading successfully. Awesome. There you go. So that worked. So I think so far I think we made pretty good progress. Created a Flask basic UI. What happened here? There's one of this errored out. Oh, you know what? It's that column. So these are some of the little small details that let's see. Where is it at? Oh, never mind. Column does not exist. So normally when you're dealing with databases, what happens is when you have a semicolon, it actually wants you to put two semicolons or two yeah, no, what happened? That didn't work either. Or remove it overall. Why is this not, you know why? See how it has double quotes? It in SQL it actually wants it to be single quotes, which is number one. The reason why it put it in double quotes is because DS was formatted like that. And you can't have single quote, and another single quote. So this is one of those there'll have to be some cleanup done, but I think for the most half we're pretty much there, right? Overall, like we may have to add some logic where we remove get this character removed, for example, before we try to generate the SQL statement. I think by doing that, that'll make this to be single quotes, and then of course it'll load without any issues. All right, so now let's try to do that top 10 is ultimately what you're asking for right now. So let me run this process one more time. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so let's do the top 10, which means we're going to add another button here. We're going to call this get top 10. We'll just call it that for now. So the URL, we're going to call it get top 10. I don't know why I put 100, top 10. All right. Let me go to my source. So what we're going to do here is let's create another another route for that. So it'll be imdb omd route, and we'll call this and get top 10 movies. Just kind of keep it consistent. This would be a get request. The function would be called get top 10 movies. Now the difference is, instead of us pulling top like the way we're pulling over here, we're actually going to be pulling it from the database. So this is where we kind of we could probably use some of this logic that we have over here, which would be our connection string to connect to the database. And we'll just do a real basic query, which is what we're going to do here. In this case, we're going to do top 10, and we're going to do an order by, what was the name of the, let's look at the table name, order by index or place. We could do place. Let me see if this is a new, let's see. Yep, it's an integer. No, it's not an integer. What is it? Oh, these are all texts. That's fine. I'm gonna have to convert it to an integer, and we could index by place. I mean, order by place. Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. Again, that's kind of what we do. I've been doing this every Friday, probably for the last almost 2 months. So we've been kind of, doing. There've been other Fridays where on the live stream we fixed other issues. Right. One request was to kind of do a password brute force attack on Excel. We kind of went through that process. There've been other, again, requests. So again, man, if I could help you out, that's awesome, man. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. That's the whole purpose of my channel. Trying to do things a little bit different, man. I mean, there's a lot of content creators out there already to begin with that are probably doing things similar, like Python videos. But I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I don't see too many people that are at least I don't see them anyway. Maybe they're out there, but I don't see them as much where they are doing, like, at least in my mind, like the live streams, right? Try to like actually do hands-on, help out the viewers. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, something a little bit different. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it that you kind of that it's actually, helping out. There's some benefit, right, at the end of the day. So I'm glad that it is helping you out. So let's do a cast. What was it? Place. We're gonna make the integer. Damn, I did it wrong. Okay, so we're gonna do place as integer. We're gonna cast. We're gonna order. We're gonna order by and cast it, and then we're gonna do that. I think that should be fine. That's gonna be our query. Then of course the results that we get back. Instead of saving it, in this case, we're gonna display it. So for displaying purposes, I'm trying to think the best approach for that. I'm gonna do something real basic, real quick, but this is not gonna be the overall solution. So just want to put that out there. Just want to test something out real quick. So for that example, what we did over here, we executed. We had our data in the cursor, then we had to iterate over it. So let me get my results. I just want to look at my results real quick. So let me run this. And I think, what did I call it? I didn't call it this. I need to call it this. There it goes. So now let me run it. Oh, damn. What happened? There it goes. So get top 10. Oh, shit. I forgot. I don't know why. I thought I was dealing with SQL Server. Actually, because I was dealing with SQL Server database all day today. It's not top 10. It's in Postgres, it's called limit 10. So let's see. So why did I get none back? Make sure I have data in here. So I do have data in here. Let me make sure I didn't spell anything wrong. IMDb top, which is the same as over here. That's fine. Select start from public, order by. Let me make sure this didn't throw it off. I'll put it back in a minute, but I do want to test something out real quick. So let me see. Am I getting any results back? Let me rerun this again. Get top. None. There it goes. Get top 100 movies. So it did run that URL. Oh, something's happening though. It's not. What's happening here? It's a get, which is fine. I do have that here, so that's fine. Yep, that looks good. Connection, cursor, execute. Got my select statement. Then I should get results back. I'm not getting the results back, so I think that's probably why. So I'm gonna have to call the cursor. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So let's take a look at it real quick. Okay, so I'm getting back an object back. Okay, so that makes sense. So what I'm gonna have to do here is I'm gonna have to do an iteration, just like the way I did here. Loop over it. So let's play around with that real quick. For loop. Let's call it list. List will be my message. So let's take a look at this. Let's see what we get. Oops. Oh, I forgot. I'm passing that in the URL. I can't do that on this one. Ooh, I forgot about that. Okay. Yep, that makes sense. So this is where I need to kind of, I'm going to have to come back on this guy. I need to pass this in as not in the URL, but in the body, in a kind of like in the form. Let me see real quick. So this is what I'm going to have to do, pass it in the request form. So let's do that. So I'm gonna call this let me call it, just call it top 10 for now. Request. It's not in the form. Let me try to think. How do we? All right, let me do some research real quick over this Python. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Python Flask redirect with request value. Let's see. I think we're getting real close, guys. We're almost there. So let me see. I'm trying to figure out one piece. I think once I figure out that one piece, we should be there. So what I'm trying to figure out here is when I do a redirect, I do want to pass in a value back. Like in this case, it could be a JSON. Ideally, JSON probably makes sense, but it doesn't have to be JSON. Be a list, JSON, something, right? Back to the main page. I can't do it to the URL. The message I could do to the URL, and that's fine. That actually works. But it doesn't work when I'm trying to pass an actual some sort of, let's say, like a list back. And that's the piece that I'm looking into. So let me try. Is this it right here? I think it is it. Response equals and again, this one I don't want it to send a message back. Oops. Let's see. You know what? I think so. I think I have an idea, and this. Trying to think if this would work. I think it will work. I think this will work. So what we're gonna do? We're not gonna do a redirect. We're going to do a render. Okay. And we're gonna render the pretty much the template that we have already. We have a template already. Same template. We're gonna render that. The difference is we're gonna pass in. We're gonna call this top 10 list. And let me just pass in the list. So I don't need to pass none of these in here. Okay, so now that being said, this top 10 list, I need to add this to my template. For right now, I'm just going to pick somewhere to add it. Right, I just want to see it. So I just add it there for now, just to kind of visualize it. We'll play around with it after that. Just want to make sure this works. Alright, so I'm going to get top 10. Alright, it does work. See how I mean, it's kind of messy, but nevertheless, it is giving us back a list of values. So these are so it is a list of tuples, which means the way I'm looking at this would be, let's say if we were to do a for value in what was the value that we're dealing with? Top 10 list. So we need to iterate over that first. And let's do a in 4. I believe that's what it is. Let me just print this for now. Oops. Let me do a value. Yep. So it should display that for now. Let's do that. Oops. I don't want that. Ooh, that's not right. I messed up. There it goes. That should be it. All right, so the value of that, let me try to think. There it goes. So what we could do here is let me move it out of this. I'm gonna move it out of this card. And I'm gonna put it in another div. Let's do a table. And let's do, what is it? The hell is it? Damn, is it TR? Is that what it is? Trying to think. Let me see what it is. HTML table tag. I forgot. Can't believe I forgot the name of the tag. I think it's TR, but I could be wrong. Let's see. TD, my bad. TD, that's what it is. TD, not TR. Oops, this is not right. So what I'm gonna have to do here is let me try to think. So we have one value, then this would be like value 2, value 3. Let's just test this out real quick. Damn, that's not what I wanted. Shit. I'm trying to think if this is because of styling. If it's styling, let's look at Bootstrap real quick. Tables. Oh, table class. Let's bring that in. So let's see if that fixes it. So we have table. I'm iterating over each row, which is fine. I'm extracting the value from each row. Let me make sure. Hold on. I think I'm missing something. 1, 0, 1. Different year. Okay, so it is getting all my values properly. That's fine. Oh shit! I know what I forgot. Damn it. TR. So there, I knew there was a TR, man. I just completely forgot about that tag. TR. All right. So now let's run it one more time. There it goes. Looking a little bit better now. 2, 3, 4. I think we have like 5 or 6 columns or so. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see what we get. If I go to database, what are we doing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? So we have 8 total. So let's go ahead and add 8 to the list. 6, 7. I think this should do it. So here's the thing. It's not dynamic, as you could tell. I had to kind of slice it up, which means by that I mean I still need to add my header up here on top, which would be th, and then it would be th. Then I would have what is it? Damn, it's not th. It is th, but I forgot. It's tr. And then inside here I would have th. Right, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what are the headers for these? So let's say we call it the same thing that we have in our database, right? So we call this would be our index. This would be our movie title, year, place, star cast, rating, vote, and the last one is link. Right, so we add all of these. We do a get top 100. So now in the bottom, you could tell we have our top 10. Probably need the order by, not order. I wonder why it's off that way. Let me look at my query. But it is giving us the top 10 right in the bottom by clicking that. So at least you can see what the top 10 is. Then of course, again, oh yeah, so with backup database, the only thing we need to do here was, because I think I did something to tweak it a little bit, which was, because I wanted to test it out, was the name. I hard-coded a value. So I think what we would have to do here would be, let me convert this to a string. And probably do a replace decimals with blanks. Let me just see how that looks if I rerun this. So now I'm going to do a backup database. I don't think it likes the semicolon, or the space should be fine. That shouldn't throw it off. I think it's that. Let me just try one more thing. Replace. Let's try that one more time. There it goes, which means there we go. Now we have here's our unique name. There it goes. So that worked. Now we have a backup. I think we got it, guy. I think we have it. I mean, again, I know it's not the prettiest, and that's kind of something you could do later, clean it up, make it look a little bit more better. But I think as of right now, it's doing what we want it to do, right? You know, we got the URL field. If I run backup, I'm gonna run it again. Hey, I just noticed we're not getting a message. What happened to our message for backup? URL message. What happened with that? So where is it at? Where's my this guy message. So it should run my message. Oh, never mind. It is running. It's right here. Duh, it's right there. So I think with this guy, what I need to do is, if we don't have no data, let's see. So when this runs right here, because it's the movie or any kind of message, what I need to do is, if it has a message, it runs. Else, it's blank. The only actions that we have. I think that again we could tweak that later, but I think we're good overall. So yeah, man, I'm glad that I was able to help you out. I mean, I know you mentioned you kind of took off from your Friday as well from hanging out with friends and all, but hopefully this is of some value to you, and at least at the minimum, it'll kind of get you started to what you're trying to do, and then you kind of fine tune it and tweak it from there. I will get this uploaded to. I have a GitHub account for my profile. I am Lou, so I'll get that uploaded, and I have your email, so I'll email you once it's been uploaded, and yeah, you could download the source code and play around with it, right? Get it, hopefully it fits to your needs, to what you're trying to do, and then you can fine tune it from there. Again, I'm on every Friday, and I'm gonna be streaming probably on Tuesdays. I'm still trying to figure out if it's Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but for sure every Friday. And so if you, again, man, join when you can, if possible. And then if you have issues, right, if you need some help with something, this is the time to join in. And we try to get things done, man. That's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do, in a way, is help out. So I'm glad that it was some benefit and it was able to help you out. And again, I'll email you, man. Once I get the source code out there to GitHub, I'll send you an email, and you can kind of pull it from there. And again, man, I'll be on every Fridays, and I'm still working on Tuesday or Wednesdays. I haven't decided what day that is, but it'll be one of those days. And man, I'm glad, man. I'm glad that this was beneficial, man. I really am. So I think it was a good day, and we got a lot done today. I think it turned out pretty good. So that's what I'm trying to do, man. Worked out good. So I'm gonna. It's our man. It's actually went by quick, man. I just realized it's 12:25. We've been streaming since what, 9? So what, 10, 11, 12, 3.5 hours. So been streaming for a while, but it was good, man. It went by good. Had a lot of fun. So I think it was a good day. Again, man, those of y'all who joined, who've been watching, man, appreciate it. I'll be on every Friday, 9 p.m. to whatever time, man. It just depends on what we're doing. And I'm working on a schedule to be streaming either Tuesday or Wednesday. So hopefully I get that more defined as the week goes on. Also, those of y'all who are followers, I will be making a video in the next couple of days. I'm going to be giving away a keyboard that I have. This is a Microsoft ergonomic desktop keyboard. So if you're interested in this keyboard, I look out for the video in the next couple of days. I'm kind of gonna provide some details of how to like register for it, and then of course I'll be giving out some other equipment every month going forward, whether it be a motherboard, CPU, even a GPU. So if you're in the need of some equipment, I'll be giving out some equipment and kind of give you some steps of how to like register for it. Hey man, tequila helps out. Again, it helps me out in a way. So I think tequila did a pretty good job today. So it helped out. And again, guys, man, thanks for watching. Those of you who were joining, thanks for joining. Again, I'll be on every Friday. Yeah, man, you should. You should, man. Get you some tequila for sure. So for me, it helps me out anyways, right? Other people, who knows, man, but it helps me out anyways. I think, at least that's what I want to tell myself anyways. Until I drink too much, and then I'm no good at all. So it was fun, man. Again, I enjoy doing this. I think this is my 8th week of doing my drinking with Lou every Friday. So again, it's part of my schedule. It's part of me growing my platform of, what I'm trying to do anyways, which is live stream, hands on, like problem solving with y'all, with the viewers. So again, I'm glad. Hopefully, it's beneficial to y'all. It sounds like it is, and there'll be more to come. Be on here again for sure next Friday. I should be on here Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm still trying to figure out that schedule, but it'll be one of the 2 days. I'll be live streaming as well. But nevertheless, Friday for sure. So those of y'all who need help or just interested,